Yo, what's up everybody? Thanks for checking out the video here on the Enchanter class in EverQuest Legends. So I've been kind of going through each of the classes and kind of just giving a brief overview of the pros and cons that I see from playing them in the Preorder Beta. And then also, going over a little bit of their spells that they have available and what classes I think they combo really well with. So kind of getting started in here with the Enchanter. We've got it set up with their strengths and their stances here. So looking at the stances available, they've got the Channeler stance, and then for their invocations they have Arcane Mastery, the Empowering, the Inversion, the Overchannel, and the Recovery. And then for as far as some of their strengths, basically the claims to fame here would be like their ability to charm NPCs, and they have the Paladin pet that their pet is a Paladin and a Warrior class. Really great there, so being able to charm the NPCs is super strong, and then having the Paladin pet that will do his lay on hands on himself or you, and then cast his heals, and I've even seen him doing nukes and things like that. Really great. They also have access to crowd control abilities such as stuns, mez, and memory blur, memory wiping. So all of their nukes have a stun component set into there, so it's great for like interrupting spell casts and stuff like that. They also have the Clarity and the Theft of Thought spell line that both are really great for keeping your mana going. They also have some AAs to give them additional mana regen on top of what is available to all the classes. So really, really nice there. Great for the group, giving everybody clarity and stuff like that. And then they also have hastes and slows in their kit, which is just fantastic. And then also they have some debuffs such as like debilitate and stuff like that that'll lower the enemy's strengths, agilities, and ACs. So really, really strong there. And then they also have access to illusions, which are really great for while you're leveling up. You can go into cities that aren't your native, not always friendly to you. You can transform, like for instance, into a human and go into Freeport if you need to without, hopefully without getting KOS. They have things that help with the faction as well to further increase on that. But one of my favorite parts of the illusions was things like the Boon of the Guru turns you into a werewolf, gives you attack increases. So on that line, I can show you some of the spells and stuff that I really liked from them here. So going into that, at level 37, they're going to get their Cajoling Whispers as a charm. It says here that you can go up to level 46 on the monsters that you're charming, and then you're able to level up your spells in EverQuest Legends. So every time you give a level up to this spell, it'll do two big things for you. Well, it'll do more than two things, but the two huge things I found that were helpful was it will increase the level that it will work on by 1 per spell level, and it'll also give a minus to the resist chance on the spell as well, so it'll make it easier to land and harder to break. So super helpful for when you're taking on like playing a sky and hard monsters like that. But even while you're leveling, you can be using this to help level you up by taking on stronger monsters than you're currently access to your level. So at 37 you're going up to 46, but you level it up, you can be grabbing high level monsters with that. It's really nice. Right here we're going to see things like Boon of the Guru at level 40. So Boon of the Guru giving you a plus increase to your dex, a chance to proc a life tap, and then also an increase to your attack. Leveling this up will make that proc hit harder, as well as make it last longer. You have access to AAs that, pretty much every class has access to the AAs, so you can have that illusion last for like up to 16 hours. If you level it up, it goes even further. So if you have that AA and an enchanter cast this on you, it will last for a really long time. If you have the AA as the enchanter and you cast it on yourself, it'll last for a really long time. But if you have the AA and you cast it on somebody that does not have the illusion AA, then it's just going to last for like the 4 to 8 minutes I was finding is the duration. But it has a very long cooldown. Not a very long cooldown, I guess like 3 minutes it says there. So you can pretty much keep it up on one person all the time. I would put it on my charmed pets and stuff like that. Really, really nice. They also are going to have things like regen, clarity. I found that the clarity spell gave you more mana than the group clarity spell. So, you know, it's not exactly the same. This is group clear mind. The clarity had a higher mana regen on my character sheet when I used it. This is like their debuff line. So weakness, I used the one higher or lower level than this that actually did the AC as well. This one is straight taking off their strength, but I'm sure you could use many of them. They have things like these AoE stuns, which are pretty sweet. This one has a reuse time on it, but you can stun them for, it says, up to 8 seconds. So really great. Discordant Mind would be their nuke. Strikes them for up to like 500 damage and stuns them for that 1 second, interrupting their cast. So a great damage line. They have some dots that are quote-unquote dots. It does a initial damage up front and then a lingering effect over time, but it'll do a little bit of damage and reduce like their strength and agility or something like that. They also have like things like the memory blur, so they can cast on them. They have single target and AoE ones. They've got great buffs, so increasing charisma. They got haste and things like that. They've got slows, so here's their haste, swift like the wind, 60% increased attack speed, which is pretty sweet. And then they're going to have like Theft of Thought here at the end. Theft of Thought works like a mana drain that gives you the mana, and it has a reuse time of a few minutes, but it also has baked into it a negative resist chance on being resisted, so it's really easy to land that even without overchannel. So some of the things I found I used a lot was the overchannel on like the charm to make sure it hit. They've got Tashania to lower their magic resist, so hitting them with things like Tash first and overchanneling as well just help those charms last long. Here's their slow shiftless deeds. So as you're kind of seeing, enchanters have a lot of great stuff, but to kind of go into the rest of it, I wanted to go over things to consider as well for them. And basically their damage, I put it in as lower damage from dots and nukes, and that would be like comparing it to something like a wizard or a shaman. The shamans have a, you know, their dot lines are great, doing lots of damage. The enchanter dot is not exactly a huge source of damage. The nuke, they have kind of that one nuke. It doesn't stack up as strong as like a wizard's nuke, for example, but it does respectable damage. It also has the stun component, so I think it's great. They don't necessarily have things to ramp it up as much as other classes, so that's why I put the lower damage, quote unquote, in there. Next up, on the paladin pet, the level at the highest level, their paladin pet is not going to have as high of a level as something like a mage's pet. And what I found from using the paladin pet is that it can run out of mana, and it waits until you're under like 50% health to use that mana, which can lead into some unfortunate situations, if that makes sense. So things like the necromancer's shadow knight pet tended to be surviving a little longer. The mage pet, just having that earth elemental pet had a higher health overall, so, you know, kind of things to consider there. And then also no escape, which I put in like the feign deaths and things like that. The Enchanter doesn't have access to those. So all around a very strong class, very well rounded, lots of different class combinations that it can go into with well. So basically this is one of those classes I find that can go with almost any combination. So having that pet that does heal is pretty handy, even if it does run out of mana or whatever. Some of the biggest combinations I find that really help it out would be like the healer classes, specifically like a cleric or something, because you're able to give them lots of mana through your clarity, and it shores up the missing spot in its toolkit, which would be like the healing. So something like that is really nice. You throw in a melee guy so that you're tankier. Something like warriors. A lot of people will run the paladin with the enchanter because the paladin uses mana on their smite skill. So having it offset with an enchanter that gives you mana regen helps to keep them smiting longer. You don't have to wait in between the fights and stuff. So it basically, but because of the haste and the slows, they're wanted by pretty much every combination on that level. With the CC, they're wanted for pretty much all of that. You pull a group of mobs, you can AoE mez them all. There is you get access to those pretty low level. They last for a long time, like up to when you level it up, it starts out at like 25-30 seconds or whatever, and then as you level up the spell, it'll last up to like 45-50 seconds. So nice way to control pulls so that you can single target one out and fight it. If things start to get dicey in the middle, they have the ability to kind of control that fight. It's really a great class. I had a lot of fun with the Enchanter, not to mention being able to charm monsters. It's just a really powerful skill to have. You can essentially take a guy completely out of that fight and make it on your side. Now, of course, you can't charm while you have a pet out, so you have to pick one or the other there, but having a high-level NPC pet gives you tons of advantages. So I really like the Enchanter. It's in a good spot. They added some AAs finally to it, which would be things like your pet can't break while you activate your AA for like the duration of the AA, which is like a minute or something. I wasn't able to see that because it came out after the pre-order beta went down, but just super nice ability there. And they added in something where if you get hit, you'll create a clone of yourself or whatever, a illusion that and then teleport backwards. So basically dropping your aggro by 99%, it said. So kind of works like an escape, but you don't get to quote-unquote drop combat. So, but it's really nice, like if you have if your pet's tanking for you, you pull aggro or the monster summons you in or whatever, and it hits you, you can drop your aggro by 99%. They have visages that do that as well, that will increase the rate of threat gained to a target or decrease the threat gained but earned on a target. So all around a very interesting class, one I really enjoyed playing with, and I hope you guys enjoy it too. Thank you for checking out the video, staying through to the end. I'm going to be doing the other classes here as well, so I'll be having that link to the playlist on the end of this, and let me know in the comments what trios you guys are be using. Thank you again for checking us out. Have a good day. Bye.